now going out. We have to record our video about the resurrection outdoor. Some stones, some rocks or mountain. During that time, the disciples were hiding. A woman or the women went out very early in the morning. Went out. So there's nothing we can do inside. It was an act of cowardice. What are we afraid of? That's what the disciples were. Jesus was buried after he was crucified. They were hiding. But it was the women who went out and see. Now you will never discover something if you stay indoors. For the sake of making this video, we have to go out. I have to stress the point that we can never find anything inside the house. We have to go out. But wait until the quarantine is over, we have to go out. That's why Jesus said, eventually, go. That means going out. The most important thing in the resurrection of Jesus Christ is the role of women. Remember when Jesus rose from the dead early morning, it was women. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to the tomb first. There are two qualities of women that has to be regarded in general, based in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. First, women care because, they were there to bring spices. They were there to care for the body of Jesus Christ, to check whatever that means. They have to check because they care. And second thing we need to remember, when Jesus met them, Jesus met two of the disciples at least, but he gave instruction to Mary. What did he say? To tell the disciples that they are going to gather in the Galilee because they are going to meet there. Why didn't he tell the men? We overheard this before, that if you want the whole world to know the story you want to tell it to the women. When these women told the disciples, they doubted. Why? But Jesus regarded them. So two things we need to learn. It's the important role of women. First, women cares. Second, if you want the world to know the story you want to tell it to the women first. Remember when Jesus asked Mary to tell the disciples, he didn't say Christians. The word Christians was alien in the Bible. There is no such word as Christian. Nowadays we call Christian as followers of Christ. Disciples in the New Testament was addressed followers of Christ. Means they are learning after Christ. They are following Christ. Disciples are followers. Now nowadays, if we use the word Christian, it brings the infix of IEN. Just like when we say Canadian, they live in Canada. If we say Brazilian, they live in Brazil. Now, if people are following Herod during the time, they are called Herodians. Jesus is known as the Christ, Christos. Now, if we are following Christ, we are called Christians. When the disciples were asked through Mary, of course, Mary informed all the disciples to gather before the ascension of Jesus Christ. There were 5,000, maybe more of them, and they are followers of Christ. If nowadays these people are referred to as Christians, so let me use the word Christians and disciple interchangeably, because disciple means Christian, disciple means followers of Christ. Christians are following Christ. That's why they are called Christians. So during the time, Christians were asked to gather in Galilee before the ascension of Christ. He then asked Mary, he said, wait, so ask the Christians to gather in Galilee and I will meet there. Remember, Mary is called Magdalene because he lived in the place called Magdala in Galilee. So that is actually Mary from Magdala, Mary Magdalene. That means Mary from Magdala. Now, when they gathered in Galilee, Jesus told them his final instruction. We call it nowadays the Great Commission. Remember, this is not the Great Suggestion.
that requires obedience. Now people think, well, that depends on spiritual gift. That depends if you're gifted in making disciples, if you're gifted in going to another country, going to another place. Jesus said in Matthew 28:19 to 20, go and make disciples. Go and look for people to follow me. Ask people to follow me. Because there is only one way. I am the only way. They have to follow me to go to the Father. There is only one way, and that's through me. So the Great Commission is given, told Christians to look for people and become Christians. We're not talking about conversion, we're talking about following Christ, and that is automatically called Christian when you follow Christ. This is the Great Commission for all people to go cross-culturally, all nations, not just your own nation. You know, it's sad thing to say that you go to another country, that is obedience when he said go. But when you go to that country, you reach out your own people. That is not reaching the nations. You have to reach the host culture when you go to another country. What's the use of going when you go and reach your own people? You are reaching your own nation. Go and make disciples of all nations. So this is the Great Commission. This is not the Great Suggestion. If we go and we don't reach the nation, we reach our own people, we follow the first statement, go, but making disciples of your own nation, that is not complete obedience, that is partial obedience, and partial obedience is disobedience.